Welcome to the Bio Girl Health Show with Carol Newman. Do you want the energy and vitality you need to fully enjoy your life and all of its possibilities? Carol Newman can help teach you how to nourish your body with healthy organic living, keeping you beautiful inside and out. And now, here's your host.
Hi, I'm your host, Kimberly Henry, and I'm here with Carol Newman. Today we'll be talking with Carol and a special guest about gluten intolerance. Now, first, before Carol joins us, just a reminder that if you have questions or comments for Carol during the show or anytime, you can send your questions on Twitter using our hashtag. It's BioGirlHealth, hashtag BioGirlHealth. Carol, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Kimberly?
Doing fantastic and loving that we get another opportunity to sit here and chat. And I understand we have a special guest today.
Yes, we sure do. Our guest is Michelle Ward, and she is the mother of 2 daughters, and she also, you're going to love this, she's a homeschool mom and has graduated one of her daughters, her eldest daughter, Brittany, who's 18, from homeschool. So it's been an exciting journey for her, I'm sure. So, and Michelle, she has a concern for a healthy lifestyle and to be fit. So she has taught her daughters to be very in tune with their bodies. And so this has especially been helpful for her youngest daughter, Hannah, who has and suffers from gluten intolerance. So, Michelle, welcome to the BioGirl Health Show.
Hi, Carol.
Yes, hi. I must say it must be an extreme amount of patience and discipline to homeschool.
I do it through God's grace and His grace alone.
Yes, for sure.
Welcome, Michelle. And I did a little bit of homeschooling, and I commend you for doing the whole high school years. That is definitely a skill and a gift for sure.
Thank you.
So, Michelle, I understand Hannah suffers from gluten intolerance. Can you tell us a little bit about what was going on with her when she was a young child?
Yes. Hannah often complained of having a stomach ache. And so, you go through does she have a fever? Everything is working properly, but yet I would take her to the doctors. They would say treat her symptomatically, and so we were sort of in the dark. We've always prescribed to eating healthy, fresh fruit, vegetables, things of all the different food groups. So we were really kind of uncertain about what was going on.
And so where did you take it from there, not having a real diagnosis?
Well, eventually it got to the point where we decided to think out of the box and take her to the gastroenterologist. That doesn't sound like it's much out of the box since it was her stomach that was bothering her. So he ran a bunch of blood work, and part of the blood work was different foods. And he had sort of a more of a naturopathic approach, as opposed to traditional medicine where they only recognize allergies. He explained it to Hannah that an intolerance is like an allergy on the outside, but you can't see it because it's on the inside. So imagine if you break out in hives and you itch on the outside from an allergen. Well, her stomach was hurting because she was, intolerant to the foods that she was eating.
And were they able to tell you what the foods were?
Yes, they were. Now, gluten was not one of them, but because there were some other things going on that the blood work, revealed, he felt that there was a very good chance that she was showing a false negative for gluten intolerance because of, like I said, other symptoms that she was presenting, and she was discovered to have had a high elevated antibodies, her thyroid antibodies. From there, we took her to another true naturopath who investigated more and more. But so he suggested to us to begin taking gluten away from her diet and see, if some of the stomach aches and other things that she showed, an intolerance to. But gluten was the main one that he felt was the culprit. But there's no true way. He said he didn't feel she was celiac, so he began to take the gluten out of her diet.
And how did Hannah handle that? I mean, as a child, we love everything that has gluten in it. Donuts, for example, and pizza is another big one.
Macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing for us to get away from, was the macaroni and cheese, because, of course, you may feed your children things that are healthy, but unless you really are educated about the different kinds of foods that help with gluten intolerance or lactose intolerance or whatever, I was in the dark. So then I became a crazy patron at the library and, began doing different research. But she did very well. She did not like feeling bad, so she was willing to do just about anything to not have a stomachache.
Now, how old was Hannah when this began, and how old is she today?
She is almost 15. She'll be 15 next month. And this all began when she was 11,
okay.
12. This is terrible. I should probably know. I want to say 11, towards the tail end of her 11th year.
So it's been a few years, and you've had some time to play with the foods and different treatments and things.
Yes.
Okay, and so she's handling it well. Is she thriving? Is she teaching her friends?
Is she teaching her friends? Yes, Hannah is teaching her friends. Hannah has actually taken it, several steps farther. She's very in tune with her body. We really pay close attention to the fact that the outside truly does indicate what's going on the inside. So I'm very good at paying attention to, like if her face breaks out in certain areas, or if she gets eczema and different things like that. And it lets us know that perhaps the label isn't indicating something in the food that she's eating. Or if she's, that's especially hard. Even though I homeschool, children have friends. They want to go and visit other friends' homes. And Hannah's friends' moms and dads are very mindful of our diet with Hannah. But I don't know, unless you live it, sometimes you're not as conscientious. So,
sure.
She's really good about paying attention to what's going on with her body.
That's awesome to see, a 15-year-old kind of take charge of their lives like that. Even if it wasn't for gluten intolerance, it's uncommon to see kids really care all that much about their health and what they're eating. So that's really impressive that she's had that experience. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to say was that for Hannah, I think because her stomach hurt and she was feeling so poorly, the true test was she went to a birthday party not too long after she had stopped eating gluten entirely, and they were serving pizza. And she had a slice of pizza. And she came home from this party, not only with a stomach ache, but she was so wound up, we had to make her run outside in the cold around our home like a dozen times, because she thought she was coming out of her skin. So that was a real eye-opener to the fact that, yes, there are such things as, as false negatives, and that gluten or eliminating gluten from her diet was truly making a significant impact on her overall ability to not only not have a stomach ache and feel better, but I guess I didn't recognize that she was hyper until she was. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Well, so you've gone through a few years of, figuring things out and sorting through things and trial and error and the false negatives. What advice do you have for parents who think that maybe this is something they need to look at for their children?
Go back to the basics. When our children are infants or beginning to eat solid foods, we begin introducing them slowly, being very mindful, about any reaction that they may or may not have to a certain certain food. Now, obviously, with older children, you can't, take them back to baby food, but you can start eliminating certain things that are known triggers for a gluten intolerance. And then, like, after it's been a little while, 30 days is usually the key of being gluten, entirely gluten-free, if you will. And then give them a slice of regular toast. I mean, don't let them know that you're doing it. And then see, is their stomach hurting? Are they complaining of bloating? Are they having symptoms of, like, colitis, or are they acting especially hyper? Having, other outward signs, breakouts, things that had maybe cleared themselves up while they were not eating gluten. And then just keep a food journal. And then actually, after, this happens, after Hannah had the pizza, we discussed it. We sat down and I said, well, how did it make you feel? And so then it became empowering to her, because then she realized that not only was Mom concerned, but she wants to feel good. And so then that gives them the opportunity to really be sort of in control of their good health.
What a wonderful lesson, not only for other parents, but just for your daughter. I think she's learned a valuable lesson that it takes maybe most of us 30 or 40 years to learn.
Absolutely. And I think that is from the help of her mom teaching them as they were growing up to be in tune with their bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Michelle, I have kids and I have grandkids, and I know that they can be really picky. They can be really hard to feed sometimes. So that challenge then, when you're taking gluten out of their diet, I would be really concerned, am I feeding them a balanced diet? Is my child, getting the nutrients they need, because I've just cut their food sources in half or greater than that. So how did you manage that for Hannah?
Well, that is a legitimate concern, and you will see that on the the different labels that list the nutrients. So it is always important to take a multivitamin, and so Hannah does. Both my children, but they take multivitamins.
And I had talked with Michelle about that because I was concerned, and I said, does your daughter take a multivitamin? And she confirmed that she did, and I was telling her that I knew of a really good quality supplement, it's Doc's Best Multivitamin. And the reason that I recommend his vitamins is because they're very potent. A lot of the vitamins out there don't have the potency or the purity, and that was one of the things when I was searching for a good multiple that I was looking for. And his guidelines for his multiples, when he was developing them, went above and beyond the guidelines that are recommended, the minimal guidelines. So I think that's important, to look for a quality vitamin that you will absorb. If you're just going to eliminate it through your alimentary canal, then what good is it? So I think that's important.
And just hearing how different ingredients in foods can affect you, I think knowing that you're taking a really good high-quality supplement is great, especially if you're someone who has a gluten intolerance or something like that. And so we will provide that link that Carol mentioned, docsbestmultivitamin.com. Let me say that again since I flubbed it, docsbestmultivitamin.com. And we'll include that link in the show notes as well, so you can check that out and take Carol's advice and find a really good supplement for you and your family. Michelle, thank you so much for sharing such great information with us today. I hope you'll come back another time and spend some more time with us.
Oh, you're welcome, Kimberly. It was my pleasure.
And Carol, I would love to hear what pearls of wisdom do you have to share with us today as we get ready to close out our show?
Well, like Michelle had said earlier, go back to the basics, but also one should eat to live, not live to eat. And Molaire had said that.
Eat to live, not live to eat. I like to do both.
I do too. I think we can find a balance there. Moderation is the key.
There you go.
That's the Aunt Marie, 99 and still driving.
Very good. Enjoy. Live a joyful life. All right. Michelle, Carol, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Just a reminder, if you enjoyed the show, please share us with your friends. You can also access the archives of our previous shows on Spreaker